My name is Sigmund Freud. Many years have passed since I first put pen to paper to explore the mysteries of the human mind. And yet, as I look upon the men of this modern age, I find that my observations remain not only relevant, but perhaps even more urgent than before. For though the centuries may shift, the unconscious does not obey the calendar. The instincts that drive man, the desires he hides, and the conflicts that torment him remain woven into the very fabric of his being. Modern man, so proud of his science, his machines, and his apparent freedom, is in truth still bound by the same unconscious chains that enslaved his ancestors. Indeed, his condition may be worse, for the very tools he has, created to liberate himself, often deepen his anxieties and magnify his discontent. Let me begin where I have always begun, with the conflict at the heart of the human condition. Man is an animal who has been compelled, by the demands of civilization, to renounce his instinctual nature. He carries within him the primal urges of sexuality and aggression, impulses that seek satisfaction without regard for morality, law, or social harmony. And yet he also carries the superego, the harsh internal judge that represents the authority of parents, traditions, and society. Between these two poles lies the ego, a fragile mediator, striving to satisfy desire while appeasing conscience and negotiating with the external world. This psychic structure has not changed, but the world in which it operates has transformed drastically. The modern man sits before glowing screens, flies across continents in hours, communicates instantly with strangers, and believes himself to be freer than any generation before him. But is he free? I am not convinced. Civilization has always demanded repression, but modern civilization demands it in subtler, more insidious ways. The repression of instinct has not vanished. It has merely taken new disguises. Man today does not repress merely because religion or tradition commands it. He represses because the new God's efficiency, productivity, public image demand it. The modern man must always appear competent, rational, and in control. His desires must be concealed behind the facade of professionalism, his anxieties hidden behind the smile he presents to the digital world. But what happens to these repressed wishes? They do not vanish. They return in symptoms. They return in anxiety, in restlessness, in the strange dissatisfaction that persists, even when material comfort has been secured. The neuroses of modern men differ in form from those I observed in Vienna, but not in essence. Consider the obsession with work. In earlier times, men toiled for survival, for bread and shelter. Today, many men toil not only to live, but to prove their worth, to demonstrate success in the eyes of others, to gain validation from the invisible audience of society. The office, the marketplace, the corporate ladder, these have become the new arenas where unconscious drives are disguised as ambition. Aggression is sublimated into competition. Desire for dominance is dressed as career advancement. Yet the anxiety remains. For the modern man measures his value not by inner satisfaction, but by external recognition, and recognition is always fleeting. The family, too, has changed. Once, the authority of the father was clear and unyielding. Today, the paternal role is contested, weakened by shifting cultural tides. Yet the Oedipus complex still casts its long shadow. The child still wrestles with forbidden desire, still struggles with rivalry, still seeks to reconcile love and hostility toward the parental figures. The difference is that modern society provides fewer rituals, fewer clear structures, through which this conflict can be resolved. Thus, the unconscious tensions persist, unresolved, haunting the adult in subtle and destructive ways. Love, in modern times, is idealized as the ultimate fulfillment of the individual. But love, as I have long observed, is not so simple. It is bound to ambivalence, for the one we love is also the one who frustrates our desires. who limits our freedom, who reminds us of our incompleteness. Modern man seeks in love what no mortal partner can provide: total happiness, permanent satisfaction, unbroken harmony. And when reality intrudes, disillusionment follows. Relationships fracture, not because love is impossible, but because the unconscious expectations placed upon love are too heavy for any bond to bear. Technology has given man new powers, but it has also intensified his illusions. The glowing devices he carries promise connection, yet they often deepen isolation. The images he consumes stir his desires, yet leave him emptier than before. The endless stimulation of the senses does not satisfy the instinct, it only inflames it. Man becomes restless, addicted to novelty, unable to tolerate silence or solitude. His unconscious cravings are amplified, yet never truly gratified. Religion once offered man consolation by projecting a father figure onto the heavens. I argued long ago that this was an illusion, a wish fulfillment born of helplessness. In the modern world, religion wanes, but the need for belief does not disappear. Instead, man transfers his faith to other idols, to progress, to science, to political ideologies, to technology itself. Yet these new gods are no more capable of fulfilling man's unconscious wishes than the old ones. When they disappoint, as they inevitably must, disillusionment sets in, leaving the individual adrift in a world without certainty. The modern man prides himself on his rationality, yet he is no less governed by unconscious forces than his ancestors. The unconscious speaks through his dreams, through his slips of the tongue, through his irrational behaviors, through the very anxieties he cannot explain. The ego of modern man, intoxicated by science and technology, imagines itself sovereign, but it is still the servant of unconscious masters. And here lies the paradox. Modern man, more than ever, denies the existence of his unconscious. He clings to the illusion that he is fully transparent to himself, that his choices are rational, his motives conscious, his identity self-created. In this denial, he blinds himself to the very forces that shape his life. He becomes a stranger to himself. Let us consider aggression. Civilization has always struggled to control man's destructive instincts. In my time, war revealed the thinness of this control. Today, modern men believe themselves civilized, progressive, humane. Yet aggression still erupts sometimes in wars, sometimes in crime, often in subtle daily hostilities. Social media becomes a theater of aggression, where men attack one another with words rather than weapons. The instinct to dominate, to humiliate, to destroy, it has not vanished. It has only shifted form. And sexuality, perhaps the most powerful of man's instincts, has undergone its own transformation. The modern world boasts of liberation, of freedom from repression. Sexuality is displayed openly, consumed endlessly, discussed without shame. And yet, paradoxically, this very openness conceals new forms of repression. For the flood of images, the commodification of desire, the demand for constant performance, these impose new pressures upon the individual. Sexuality becomes another arena of anxiety, of inadequacy, of comparison. What was once hidden is now exposed, but exposure does not guarantee fulfillment. The unconscious, you see, is not conquered by mere openness. It is not banished by technology, nor erased by social freedom. It persists because it is the foundation of the psyche. The instincts, the repressions, the ambivalences, they remain the ground upon which civilization is built. And as civilization advances, so too do the tensions within man's soul. Modern man finds himself torn. He has more comfort than his ancestors, yet he feels restless. He has more freedom, yet he feels enslaved by expectations. He has more knowledge, yet he remains ignorant of himself. He believes he has surpassed the limitations of the past, yet he carries the same unconscious burdens. His suffering has not disappeared, it has changed its costume. Modern man imagines himself liberated from the chains of superstition and tradition, and in certain respects, this is true. He no longer kneels unquestioningly before the throne of monarchs, nor does he universally tremble before the dictates of the church. He speaks freely of democracy, of science, of progress. Yet when I examine him with the eyes of psychoanalysis, I find that the essence of his condition remains unchanged. His psychic apparatus is the same as that of his ancestors. The ID has not evolved. The superego has not softened. The ego has not grown omnipotent. Only the circumstances have changed, and those circumstances have drawn out new symptoms of the same old conflicts. Let me turn, for instance, to the question of work. In my time, I observed that much of man's instinctual energy, which could not find direct satisfaction, was sublimated into labor. Work, when it aligns with the instincts, can bring a measure of satisfaction. It allows aggression to be transformed into ambition, and sexuality into creativity. Civilization, indeed, rests upon this sublimation. Yet, in the modern age, I perceive an increasing pathology in man's relationship to work. No longer is work merely the means to survival or a potential path to sublimated satisfaction. Instead, it has become a tyranny of its own. Men define themselves almost entirely by their professions, measuring their worth by promotions, salaries, and the recognition of their peers. The workplace has become the new confessional, where men seek absolution not from God, but from managers and corporations. Their exhaustion, their anxiety, their inability to rest, these are the symptoms of a deeper malaise. They repress their instinctual dissatisfaction, only for it to return in burnout, in depression, in the compulsive need to prove themselves. In this way, modern work has become both a source of pride and of profound neurosis. And what of love? Man has always been torn between his instinctual desires and the demands of civilization. In my writings, I pointed out that monogamy is not instinctual but cultural, an arrangement designed to secure social order. Modern man, however, believes himself capable of combining instinctual satisfaction with romantic idealization. He seeks in his partner not merely a companion, but a soulmate, a source of endless fulfillment, a cure for loneliness, an answer to the emptiness of existence. In this, he expects too much.